Hey y'all, welcome back to the Book Alert, where we read them and we spoil them. And today we are going to be talking about the blood trials. If you follow me on any of my social media channels, then you know that this is likely my favorite book of 2022. This was written by N.E. Davenport. Her name is Nia Davenport. She is out of Texas. I want to say Houston, but I could have made that up, so don't quote me. But I know she's out of Texas. And this is a duology. And the second book comes out in April. Fun little fact, we are going to be doing a book chat with Nia Davenport in April as a celebration for her new release, so stay tuned for that. But I decided to go ahead and chat about this since book 2 is dropping. I'm going to go ahead and make a little disclaimer. Y'all got to forgive me because I read book 1 and I read book 2 because I have the arc of book 2. So I'm going to try my hardest not to spoil book 2 yet. Y'all know I like to spoil, but I at least try to wait for the book to be released before I spoil it. So I'm going to try my hardest to stick to only book 1. But if y'all are readers like me, then you already know. We might run into book 2 just a smidge, but I'm going to try to catch it. So the blood trials. This badass right here is Ikenna, okay? Ikenna Amari. And the book kind of opens, oh, that was your little warning to, if you haven't read it, you might want to stop now. Come on back. But continuing, Ikenna, the book starts off with Ikenna in a bar with her friends, Celine and Zane. And they're getting drunk. This is an adult fantasy, so they are of age. Well, they're adults. I don't know what the age limit there for alcohol is, but they're over the age of 18, we'll say that. And they're getting drunk in the bar fight breaks out, whatever the case may be. You find out that essentially Ikenna is grieving the loss of her grandfather. Her grandfather is who raised her. Her grandfather's name is Vern Amari. Her grandfather was like revered where they live, and her grandfather recently passed away. So she's grieving, and her grief comes out as essentially being drunk and fighting and all kinds of stuff, because everyone grieves differently. And what ends up happening, or what you end up finding out pretty quickly, is that she, Celine, and Zane are all about to graduate from whatever academy they're in, and they have the opportunity to pledge to the elite unit in their country. The elite unit are the Praetorians, and they have the opportunity to pledge elite. So that's how the book opens up. Now, this book, I have said it 1,000,001 times, I will die on this hill. In my opinion, because you know we all have opinions, in my opinion, this book is really like a cross between, or like a Hunger Games meets Squid Games. Okay, with a badass black ass protagonist, which y'all know I am here for. And I love that, okay? Because I like a little action. So this is a fantasy, it's a sci-fi fantasy with blood magic and all kinds of, I don't know, sci-fi things. I tend to stay away from sci-fi, but this didn't feel, I'm about to make up a whole word, but this didn't feel very sci-fi-ish. It didn't feel that way for me. I didn't feel like I was in outer space somewhere, and no shade to those of you who love it, it's not my cup of tea. So I tend to get a little lost when you give me space. I'm like, all right, so they're doing what? In what universe? And they're on whose planet? And then they're back on Earth, and they're doing what? And what is this machine? Too much for me. Just let me build my world with magic and let that be that. So this felt more like fantasy than it did sci-fi. I mean, you had like the advanced machinery or weaponry, and I can get with that, but that's about it. So let's get to the goods, because we all want to know the goods, right? So Ikenna, going into the night before the graduation, Ikenna is confronted by, I guess, a longtime family friend. And this longtime family friend essentially lets it be known that, you know what, hey, we believe that your grandfather, or not we, he says I. So I believe that your grandfather did not die of natural causes. I believe he was killed. And that essentially snaps her out of her drunken stupor. And she's like, all right, bet. So what we need to do to figure out who did this. Because now she's on board for finding out who did it. And so that's what leads her to join the trials, to join the Praetorians and become part of the elite units. And so we're in the trials, and I think that's what made me fall in love with this book. aside from badass black ass protagonist, which I'm going to always love, I love a strong lead. I don't mind the people who are trying to find themselves, find their power, become strong, whatever. I just get bored with that. Like, girl, boy, whatever. Like, you know you strong. Like, we know, according to the back of the book that I read before I bought this book, I know you have power. Can we just get to the point where you have your power and you're killing people? Because that's what I want to see. I want to see you blowing up shit. That wasn't really the problem. I kind of was like, okay, let's do this. And she did it. So she joins the trials, her, Celine, Zane, and a bunch of other people. She has her enemies and frenemies and all the things. It's kind of an enemies to lover, but not really. I think it starts off as an enemies to lovers, or makes you believe that it's an enemies to lovers, only to later learn that they're not really enemies. So there's that. So there's a bit of romance in there, or a smidge. You get a tasting of it. But they go through these trials, and what is crazy about these trials, which is why I say it's giving Squid Game. If you haven't watched Squid Games, then maybe you wouldn't know. But if you've watched it, then you'll understand. It's giving Squid Games. And the way that it's giving Squid Games is because in the trials, there is no like, you pass the trial and you move on, or you fail the trial and you go home. That's not what happens. The first trial is like that. The first trial is you pass it, you move on. If you don't pass it, or they give you the opportunity to leave if you don't pass the trials, or if you don't think that you can handle the trials. But they warn you. They warn you. After that first trial, you either pass the trial or you die. That's it. There is no middle ground. There is no, well, they're a little injured. Some of it is you died because they killed you, because you failed at whatever mission that they had given you, or some of it is you died because it was a deadly trial and you either passed it or you died. So that was a little exciting. Y'all, I'm not morbid. I promise I'm not morbid. In my books, I love to see it. In real life, but I kind of thrived in these trials. She's a badass and she knows she's a badass. And so, but there are all these things. Remember I said she has blood magic. Blood magic where she lives is actually frowned upon. It's like, it's essentially a form of, I don't know if, yeah, it's racism, but her race has the blood magic, if that makes sense. I don't know if that made sense. So they are killing anyone with blood magic. So of course she knows she has blood magic. No one else, supposedly, no one else knows that she has the blood magic. So she has to keep her blood a secret. So her blood, like if she's bleeding, she's not going to run to the nurse's office. That's not happening. She has to clean it up. She has to dilute her blood because of the magic in her blood. We learn later on in the book what her blood can do. And I think I'm gonna get to that point. But, you know, she has this really heartfelt moment with her best friend Celine because she has no family there when she graduates. And so Celine presents her with this gift that she can put on her neck, or like it's like a necklace that she can wear, like a charm necklace or whatever that she can wear. And you know, that's her bestie. So she was like, all right, Celine, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And I'm gonna stop there because if I give any more away, I think that goes in the book too. So just keep that in mind. So they're going through the trial. She, Celine, Zane, they're killing it. And in these trials, there are so many things, but she meets Reed, and Reed is part of the Gamma unit. He's part of the elite squads. They have different units. So he's in the Gamma unit, and Gamma was her grandfather's old unit when he served on the elite squad. So she wanted to join Gamma for a multitude of reasons, but one of the reasons being that it was hinted at that Reed might have been the one who killed her grandfather. Spoiler alert, Reed wasn't the one who killed her grandfather, but that's what she was led to believe. Hence the enemies to lovers that we find out isn't really enemies to lovers. So there's all this kind of tension between she and Reed. Reed's trying to figure out why the hell she's all angry with him. And obviously she not knowing, because she was led to believe by someone that she trusted that he killed her grandfather. She's doing everything in her power to pretty much kill him. There's a lot going on throughout the entire book, which I thought was pretty fun. They make it through the trials. Well, pause. Kind of. She's put in a bunch of different positions. So like one of the trials, I wish I remember the name of the beast, because there's some kind of like beast in here. One of the trials, they're like flown out into the middle of some kind of forest. that is a dangerous forest with dangerous beings, and they essentially have to survive there and bring back the head of this beast. But she's teamed up because they mixed up the units. She's put on a team with one person who's kind of neutral. She doesn't, nothing against him, nothing for him, whatever. He's just there. And then I think like 4 other individuals who all hate her and want her to die. You also later find out that they tried to kill her. They like tossed her over a cliff, all kinds of craziness. But the bad part is, this is when you get jealousy, because she was with 5 other men. It was just her and 5 other men. It was all this jealousy. They hated her and didn't really have a reason to hate her, per usual. But so they didn't want to listen to her, but she is actually well trained and she's better trained than all of them, but they don't want to acknowledge that. And so it's the stupidity for me. Like, you would rather die. You would rather die than to listen to this woman who is telling you, hey, we probably shouldn't do that. Like, you know, common sense. I'm not one for nature, but I feel like when you're in the middle of a dangerous forest with dangerous beings, you don't do things like light fires where it'll draw attention to yourself. Well, she said that, hey, maybe we shouldn't start a fire. We don't know what's out here. The things that we do know are out here are usually attracted to these things. We don't want to bring these beings to us, so maybe we shouldn't start a fire. What did the dumbasses do? They started the fire. So now this fire is started, and you guessed it, the beings came and attacked, and so she almost dies. The neutral person actually did die. He did whatever he did to try to save her, did save her, but then ended up getting caught up, and he was killed by the beast. The other beings, I don't know what they were doing. They were out there, I don't know, chasing their tail. Who knows? Who knows? They just weren't listening. But they all but the one dude that was kind of on her side ended up living. She almost died. They claim they thought she was dead. We never actually checked to see if she was dead. So instead of, you know, being the teammates that they should have been and helping her and making sure she was good, they tossed her off a cliff, assuming if she wasn't dead, tossing her off the cliff would kill her. It didn't kill her. Because she's a badass, black-ass protagonist. Like, we've established this. So now she's off this cliff, falls into some water, gets dragged up onto the shore. The beast's nests is kind of where she landed. They capture her, put her in some like cage. And it's really graphic and gruesome what they do to people. So I'm not going to get into that. If you like graphic and gruesome, read the book. But they definitely, I mean, they're beasts, you know, they're not pulling out forks and knives and, you know, anything like that. They're definitely, let's see, how can I say it? They're treating people how people treat animals that they consume. So there you have it. And it's explained in the book. So, but she finds a way to get out of it because her blood magic in some way, shape, or form activates. I know how it activates, but I don't want to give too much away. So her blood magic activates and she's able to escape. She is also then able to outsmart, trap, and kill one of the beasts, get its head, because remember I said they had to bring back a head. She ends up finding she's off on her own, runs into another team. They take her in because they've lost members because it's the trials, remember? So everyone's losing members. They've lost members. They take her in. She brings the head. She passes this trial. Moving along, fast forward to, I think, the last trial or second to last trial where her bestie dies. Not Celine. Not Celine, unfortunately. And you'll know why I say unfortunately in book 2. But not Celine. Zane dies, which is so unfortunate because Zane was already feeling a way about their friendship and feeling like their friendship wasn't really what it used to be for a multitude of reasons. And they were just trying to kind of get back on it. And really the reason behind why Zane was feeling like their friendship wasn't what it was is because Ikenna was keeping a secret. Her secret was the blood magic. Celine knew about the blood magic because Celine, they were roommates at the trials, and Celine walked in after Ikenna had a near-death experience because those little brats, I'm gonna call them brats because they act like little toddlers, those little brats who tossed her off the cliff, they had already tried to attack her once and tried to kill her. 3 of them came to her bedroom when she was in there by herself, and they attacked her with knives and all kinds of things trying to kill her. She was able to kill them using her blood magic. So that's fun. Eventually, I'm sorry, I said kill. She didn't kill them. She was able to overpower them using her blood magic and was able to get them out of the room. So essentially, I don't know if I talked about this. Essentially, the way the blood magic works, because she has blood magic, with her, well, for right now, because she doesn't know how to use it that much because it's been kept a secret, if she has access to someone's blood, so like if she cuts them or whatever and gets access to their blood, she now can control them. She can essentially put them under her spell and control everything that they do, which is really creepy if you think about it. Like it's almost like hypnosis, but using their blood. Creepy. That's how she got out of not being killed in her room. But anyways, it was a near-death experience. She passes out before she's able to clean up her blood and get it all, diluted. And so Celine walks in, sees the blood. There's also a moment with, I want to say, it was at that time that there was a moment. Nope, it comes later. Anyways, Celine walks in, sees the blood, cleans everything up, and doesn't say anything, just kind of watches Ikenna, because Ikenna, with her blood magic, can heal on her own. Super cool. So she can heal on her own. She wakes up. She learns that Celine cleaned up everything. And at that moment is when she is like, yep, so it's me. I have blood magic. What are you going to do? Are you going to snitch on me? And Celine was like, no, I would never. Your secret's safe with me. We're besties. The bitch, she's lying. Book 2. Book 2. Ooh, book 2. All the things. Celine needs to be smacked. I'll say that. That's the most polite thing I can say for her. Book 2. Am I making you want to read book 2? Because so many things come out in book 2. But book 2. So Celine, little bitch, lied and said, oh no, bestie, I would never tell. I didn't know you had blood magic. She know, but whatevs. You'll find out in book 2 what all the things with Celine is. So moving forward, they are, I don't know where I was at, but anyways, trials. They're at the trials. She and Reed, Ikenna and Reed have their moment. We'll call it a lapse in judgment, but it's not really a lapse in judgment because they want each other. But, Ikenna thinks Reed is the enemy. He's not. She eventually finds out that he's not the enemy. And I believe she finds it out in book 1 that he's not the enemy. So they now are like trying to figure out what they want to do. So whatever. During the trials, I think second to last trial, whatever, they like have to climb. They are put in like horrid conditions where it's like freezing. It's a mountain. It's full of snow. It's, all kinds of things are happening. And that, unfortunately, because the earth opens up. I don't know if it was an earthquake or what happens, but the earth opens up. They fall in. Zane dies. So Zane is the best friend who dies in this one, which really, really sucked. Like, why did we have to kill him off? Why couldn't we kill off Celine? I know why, because you have to further the story. But so what? The bitch needs to die. So Zane goes, unfortunately, which of course hurts Ikenna's feelings, all the things, but she has to keep pushing for it because if she doesn't push for it, 1, it's horrid conditions, so they'll probably die, but 2, she also won't be able to win the trials. But being the bestie that she is, did she take the body? Did they bring the body up? No, she left the body. I think she had to leave the body because the only way she was going to climb out of the hole was without the body, I believe. So unfortunately, he's buried in the mountain. She gets up to where she needs to get to. Final trial comes in. They're all trapped. They have to like infiltrate where the trainers are at. I don't know. Craziness. And Ikenna saves the day for that. And that, I think, is when her enemies that tried to kill her this whole time started to realize, like, I mean, we're not friends, but you're like really a stand-up person. And maybe my thought of you was a little wrong. Dumbasses. So she saves everyone. They all escape. They get her back on the plane. They all escape. Everybody's good. And then I think the final, like, you've passed was when they are put in a room and threatened with a needle to like the neck or something and saying, if you don't tell us the secrets within whatever the time frame is, you're going to be poisoned to death. And as long as they didn't spill the secrets, they were tortured a little bit more than that. But I mean, all the torture in the world, you poison me and tell me I'm going to die. I don't know. I can't sit here and lie and say I'm a hold it in. What you want to know? Because I just need the antidote. So what you want to know? But they didn't. Iken is a G. She didn't say anything. She passed the trials. Boom. They graduate. She pledges Gamma. Awesome. But then they're called into a war. Well, kind of a war. More like they have to go to a war room, council, whatever situation. They fly there, and it's the kingdom that Vern, her grandfather, was essentially friends with. But we know Vern is no longer here. Her council is full of shit. And they go over there thinking they're, you know, a lot of this is sounding familiar. If you know your history, you'll know why. They go over there thinking that they're big and bad, and they should run the world, and they're humbled. And what I love about it, they're humbled by Ikenna, but we'll get there in a second. Ikenna is forced to confront the king of this kingdom, and he has a son who's like the head of the army or whatever, the wife, the sister, all of those things. And she's friends with them, but she was again lied to. Little lion asses. She was again lied to and told that, I don't know, they did something to betray her and they were going to team up with whomever and they were in on whatever secret. Who knows? Don't care. And so she was told her job, because she was friends with them and could get the closest to them, her job was to essentially assassinate the king. Of course, she's conflicted with this, but that's her role. She just made the elite unit. So what does she do? She follows through. Only to find out that, nope, it wasn't the king you just assassinated. The Blood Emperor sent his, I guess, minion in to trick you, but also used that to show the king that we're not friends. Like, you thought you were friends with this nation, and this nation turned around and stabbed you in the back. So all that came out. That's when she learns the truth about the fact that, nope, your grandfather was actually killed by the council. And they were killed by the council because the council knew that you had blood magic. And he didn't say anything to the council, and harboring somebody with blood magic gets you killed. Somebody with blood magic is also assassinated. So the council knew all of this. All this comes out in the end. And Ikenna was like, bet. Ikenna got pissed. She got real pissed. And Ikenna started killing folk. As she should have. But she did. She started killing folks. She makes a deal with the Blood Emperor as well to save all of her friends. But then she skips out on the deal. Ikenna's a badass. Ikenna was like, okay, you'll give me more power if I agree to do whatever for you. Sure, I'll do it. Wink, wink. Give me the power and, you know, we'll chat about this later. And that's what she did. She got the power she needed. She killed whoever she needed. She went down there, controlled all of the guards because she's a badass, broke everybody out of jail because of course they held her captive and all of her team captive, broke all of them out of jail. She did kind of lie about the fact that she killed the council because some of the council's kids were the people that were in jail and she didn't want them kind of problems that day. So she was like, no, I didn't kill your dad. Someone else did it. They all lying at this point, but she breaks them out. She tries to set them free. Because she's a stand-up, like she a G. She tries to save all of these people, enemies and friends alike. She's like, you know what? This is about me. It's not about them. Let them go back home. We'll figure this out later. We can chat later. She wasn't going to chat. She was going to run. She sends them to the ship. Some of them go, little bitches. Some of them go, but some of them was like, no, we're going to stay and we're going to fight. And they stayed with Ikenna. And then Ikenna told the Blood Emperor, I'm not sticking around to figure out what's going on. I'm going ahead and go. We'll chat later. And that's what happened. She bounced and she was like, you can catch me if you can. And then in scene, book ends and book 2 begins. And you want to read book 2. So much comes out in book 2. Like deranged gods. Deranged. When I say deranged, I really mean deranged. They were deranged. But deranged gods come into this. Backstabbing bitches of friends come into this. Badassery comes into this. And then the bad guy who I couldn't understand. I think his name was a Johnny in book 1. I hope I didn't get that away. I think his name was a Johnny in book 1. He was part of the Blood Emperor that tricked her and she made a deal with a Johnny and da-da-da-da-da. A Johnny in book 1, I was kind of like, yo, he's real evil. I don't really know what he's about. And he a little creepy too. He was real creepy actually. So I ain't like him. But in book 2, I think I might be team a Johnny / read, but you'll have to read book 2 to figure it out. So, I mean, I don't know how I made this seem because I tried to get a lot into a little bit, but you should really read The Blood Trials because it was good. And like I said, I'll be chatting with Nia Davenport in April. Yes, I have the date, but I'm not going to drop that just yet because I believe before I have a chat with her, I will do book 2 so you guys can hear about it. Ooh, I'm gonna try my hardest to give y'all book 2 without spoiling anything. That's gonna be the only one I probably won't spoil because I'm gonna do the book before the book comes out. So I won't fully, I don't know. You get what you get and you don't get upset, as my nephews would say, or you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So if I spoil it, oh well. But thanks for listening. Chat with y'all next time. Get the book. Bye-bye.